piano in the lobby of the plaza played softly, but Lauren Avery couldn't hear any of it. Her hands trembled around the small velvet box in her purse, the one holding the ultrasound photo she planned to show her husband tonight. She had spent the entire subway ride rehearsing how she would tell Brandon they were finally expecting. After years of begging him to start a family, she believed this moment would heal everything between them. She believed he would smile. She believed he would choose her again. But as she stepped out of the elevator onto the private lounge floor, she froze. There he was, Brandon Hale, her husband, leaning intimately over a table lit by golden candlelight, and sitting across from him, in a red silk dress that hugged every cruel intention, was his assistant, Peyton Clark. Lauren watched in disbelief as Peyton slid a stack of documents toward him. Brandon signed them with a flourish, using Lauren's name. Her chest tightened. Her vision blurred. She couldn't breathe. She stumbled closer, heart pounding, and heard Brandon laugh softly. Once this deal goes through, she'll be out of the picture anyway. She's too weak to fight back. Weak. The words sliced straight through her. Lauren's knees buckled. The chandelier above her blurred into a white explosion of light. The world tilted. Somewhere far away, she heard someone shout her name. Someone with a deep, steady voice she didn't recognize. A pair of strong arms caught her just before she hit the marble floor. The velvet box slipped from her purse. The ultrasound photo fluttered out. And in that moment, surrounded by strangers and betrayal and the cold gleam of Manhattan luxury, Lauren Avery felt her world crack open. The last thing she saw before everything went dark was Brandon's face. Not worried, not heartbroken, but annoyed. Annoyed she had ruined his evening. And then a voice whispered beside her, "Ma'am, stay with me, please. You're losing a lot of blood." The hospital room was too white, too quiet, too calm for the kind of storm tearing through Lauren Avery's chest. When she opened her eyes, the first thing she felt was the aching emptiness in her stomach. A nurse adjusted the IV beside her, avoiding eye contact the way people do when they know something unbearable. "Where's my baby?" Lauren whispered, her voice cracking like thin glass. The nurse hesitated just long enough to confirm the truth before she said it. "I'm so sorry, Lauren. You miscarried before you arrived." The words echoed in the room, bouncing off every sterile surface until they settled like ashes on her heart. "No," Lauren breathed. "No, please. I never got to." Her hand reached instinctively for her abdomen, as if she could somehow feel what was no longer there. Her whole body trembled. Tears burned her eyes, but the grief was too heavy for crying. It sat on her chest like a building collapsing inward. The door opened. Brandon stood there in his pressed suit, not even out of breath. He hadn't rushed. He hadn't panicked. He hadn't cared. "You scared everyone last night," he said, voice flat. "Collapsing like that was dramatic, even for you." Lauren stared at him, searching for a shred of humanity. A flicker of pain, regret, anything. "There was bleeding," she whispered. "I lost the baby." Brandon sighed, rubbing his temples. "Lauren, we talked about this. Stress isn't good for pregnancy. You should have taken better care of yourself." It wasn't just the cruelty of the words. It was the ease with which he said them, like blaming her was simply housekeeping, clearing his conscience with a broom. Her voice shook. "I saw you, Brandon. I saw you with Peyton. I saw the documents, with my signature." Brandon's jaw tightened. His eyes turned cold. "You were hallucinating. And if you weren't, then you should forget what you think you saw. For your own good." He stepped closer, lowering his voice. "You're fragile right now. If you repeat something like that to the wrong person, people might think you're mentally unstable." Lauren felt the room tilt again, not from fainting this time, but from horror. He wasn't grieving. He wasn't comforting. He was calculating. "For now," Brandon added, slipping his phone back into his pocket, "let's just focus on getting you discharged. There's a lot to clean up." Clean up. He meant her grief, her trauma, her baby. And that's when Lauren realized something bone deep and terrifying. He hadn't just stopped loving her. He had turned her into a liability. And liabilities, Brandon always found a way to eliminate. Lauren was discharged from the hospital 2 days later, moving like a ghost drifting through her own life. The January air in Manhattan cut through her thin coat as she stepped out of the sliding doors. She expected Brandon to offer an arm, a hand, a word, anything. Instead, he walked ahead of her, texting rapidly, as if escorting his grieving wife was an inconvenience wedged between meetings. The car ride home was silent, not heavy with emotion, just hollow. The kind of silence that appears when love has been gutted clean. As soon as they stepped into their penthouse, Brandon headed straight for his office. "Don't go anywhere," he said, not even looking at her. Lauren sank into the nearest chair, her body aching from loss, from betrayal, from the weight of being invisible. She didn't know how long she sat there before Brandon finally reappeared, carrying a folder. He placed it on the coffee table between them with the casualness of setting down a menu. "We're filing for divorce," he said. The world didn't tilt this time. It didn't shatter. It didn't explode. It simply stopped. "What?" Lauren whispered. "This marriage hasn't worked for a long time," Brandon said. "You know that. And after the scene you caused at the plaza, it's clear you're not stable enough for the life I need." She recoiled as if struck. "I lost our baby, Brandon. To the Somanations?" "Yes," he replied coldly. "And frankly, I'm relieved. A child would have complicated things." The words hollowed her out instantly. Brandon slid the papers toward her. "Sign these. The sooner this is done, the sooner we both move forward." Lauren stared at the pages. Legal jargon, property division, liability waivers. And then one line that made her blood run cold. She would take responsibility for any financial irregularities involving her name. "You forged my signature," she said, trembling. "Those contracts, you used my name." Brandon didn't flinch. "And you're going to take the blame if anything surfaces. Because if you don't, I promise you, Lauren, I will ruin you. Professionally, legally, publicly." Her breath caught. "There are emails, messages," he continued, "drafted by my attorney. All of them show you acting alone. If you fight me, those go straight to the authorities. And effort. They had deuced indust industren." Tears filled her eyes, not from heartbreak anymore, but from the suffocating realization that she was trapped. She lifted the pen with shaking fingers. "That's it," Brandon murmured, satisfied. "Be smart for once, too. And if video's resting, it's comes to." Lauren pressed the pen to the page. But before she could sign, the front door clicked open, and a voice she hadn't heard in years said, "Lauren, why are you crying?" The voice at the door belonged to Melissa Grant, Lauren's former co-worker, and one of the last people she expected to see standing in her penthouse. Melissa rushed inside, her expression shifting from confusion to alarm as she spotted the divorce papers and the trembling pen in Lauren's hand. "Lauren, what's going on?" she asked, kneeling beside her. Before Lauren could speak, Brandon stepped forward with a polished smile that never reached his eyes. "Perfect timing, Mel. We're just finalizing things." "Finalizing what?" Melissa demanded. "Our divorce," Brandon replied coolly. Lauren agreed. Melissa looked at Lauren, whose lips parted but no sound escaped. Brandon took that silence as permission. She understands it's the best choice, especially after the incident. End quote. Melissa's eyes widened. Incident? She miscarried, Brandon. She almost died. Brandon shrugged, dismissive. Emotions are high. It's better if she has space. Melissa stood, fury shaking her voice. "You're unbelievable." Brandon's expression hardened. "This is a private matter. And unless Lauren invited you—" "I did," Lauren whispered suddenly, surprising even herself. Melissa squeezed her hand. "Then I'm not leaving." For the first time in hours, Lauren felt a small flicker of safety. But it extinguished instantly when Brandon dropped the final blow. "Actually, you are leaving," he said, not to Melissa, but to Lauren. "Effective today, this penthouse is no longer your residence." Lauren blinked. "What?" Brandon handed her a manila envelope. "You'll find everything inside. You have until tonight to vacate. Consider it a courtesy." Melissa ripped the envelope open and gasped. "You're kicking her out with nothing? No savings? No access to accounts?" "Her instability makes her unfit to manage shared finances," Brandon said smoothly. "I've frozen all cards linked to my assets. She'll get a settlement once the divorce is processed." "Months from now," Melissa shot back. Brandon didn't deny it. Lauren felt the room spin. The penthouse she had decorated, the life she had built, the marriage she had sacrificed everything for gone in the space of one cruel conversation. Melissa grabbed her shoulders. "Lauren, you're coming with me. Pack what you can. Brandon gave a mocking bow. Do hurry, I have guests arriving. Hours later, Lauren sat in the back of a taxi beside a suitcase that held the pieces of her old life. The city lights smeared past the window, cold and indifferent. Her phone buzzed. An unknown number. She almost ignored it until she saw the message. I know what Brandon did, and I have proof. Lauren's breath caught. Then another message appeared. Meet me tomorrow, before he destroys you completely. Lauren barely slept that night. She lay on the narrow pull-out couch in Melissa's small Queens apartment, staring at the ceiling as traffic hummed outside. Every time she closed her eyes, the image returned: Brandon's pen signing her name. The ultrasound photo slipping from her purse, the cold finality in his voice as he kicked her out. Grief was a weight, but fear was a blade. By morning, she still hadn't opened the message's attachment. Melissa set a coffee beside her. You okay? Lauren shook her head. Someone texted me last night, said they have proof of what Brandon did. Lauren, Melissa said gently, that could be dangerous. I know, she swallowed, but it could also save me. Her hands trembled as she clicked the email open. Inside was a single file labeled HR, Contract Internal, Use Only. She tapped it. A scanned document appeared. Her heart skidded. It was the same secret contract Peyton had handed Brandon at the plaza. Except this copy had something the one on the table didn't. A timestamp, a digital trail, and photos of Brandon signing Lauren's name on multiple documents across several months. Melissa leaned closer. Lauren, this is huge. It proves he forged everything. Lauren's pulse raced. But who sent it? And why now? Before they could process the implications, another email arrived from an anonymous sender again. Open your front door. Lauren froze. How did they know where I am? Melissa grabbed her arm. Lauren, don't. A sharp knock echoed through the apartment. 3 knocks. Slow, deliberate. Melissa whispered, call 911. But something inside Lauren, instinct, desperation, maybe destiny, pushed her forward. She approached the door, fear crawling up her spine. She opened it a fraction. A man in a charcoal suit stood there, holding a sealed envelope. He wasn't threatening. If anything, he looked urgent. His expression softened when he saw her, almost as if he recognized the pain on her face. Miss Avery? He asked quietly. I was instructed to deliver this to you. By who? Melissa demanded from behind. The man hesitated. Someone who believes you're in danger. Lauren's breath caught as she accepted the envelope. Inside was a single typed message. He knows you have the file. Leave the apartment now. A cold wave rolled through her body. Melissa's voice shook. Lauren, what is it? Lauren looked up, her heart pounding so hard she could barely speak. Brandon knows, she whispered, and he's coming. Lauren and Melissa didn't waste a second. Within minutes, they grabbed Lauren's suitcase, laptop, and the envelope of damning documents. Melissa ordered a rideshare, but the app froze repeatedly. Lauren's pulse hammered. He's blocking our account, Melissa whispered. Brandon's trying to trap us. They fled down the narrow stairwell of the apartment building instead of using the elevator. Lauren felt every bruise from the hospital, every ounce of heartbreak slowing her steps. She clutched the flash drive with the file, her only protection now. When they reached the street, the winter wind sliced through her clothes. Melissa tried waving down a cab, but every car was taken. Lauren's breath clouded in the cold. We need to get somewhere safe, Melissa said. A police station, maybe. No, Lauren choked. If Brandon's already planted fake evidence, they'll think I'm the guilty one. Melissa didn't argue. She simply squeezed Lauren's hand tighter. Then a sleek black Mercedes S-Class rolled to the curb beside them, engine humming low. The tinted window lowered, and for the second time in Lauren's life, she looked into the eyes of the man who had once carried her bleeding body through the lobby of the plaza. Cole Maddox. He didn't smile. He didn't soften. He simply said, "Get in, both of you." Melissa stepped in front of Lauren. "Absolutely not. Who the hell are you?" Cole's jaw flexed. "The person who's been trying to keep her alive long enough to fight back." Lauren froze. "You're the one sending the messages." End quote. "Yes," he said, meeting her gaze. "And if you stay out here, Brandon's people are going to find you." "How do you know that?" Melissa demanded. Cole exhaled sharply. "Because I've dealt with Brandon before, and he's more dangerous than you think." A black SUV turned the corner too fast. Its windows were tinted, identical to the cars Brandon used for company errands. Melissa saw it first. "Lauren," she whispered, "we don't have time. Beijing capta." Informord. The SUV slowed, creeping toward them like a predator choosing its angle. Cole opened the door wider. "Lauren, now." Lauren hesitated only a second before sliding into the back seat. Melissa followed, slamming the door shut behind them. Cole hit the accelerator. The SUV lurched to chase. "Why are you helping me?" Lauren asked, breath shaking. Cole didn't look back. His voice was flat, almost haunted. "Because Brandon Hale ruined someone I loved once, and I won't let him do it again." As every fast, Lauren's heart thudded painfully. "Who?" she whispered. Cole's hands tightened on the wheel. "Your name wasn't the first one he forged." The Mercedes sped through midtown traffic, weaving between taxis and buses as horns blared around them. Lauren clutched the seatbelt, her pulse thundering in her ears. Cole Maddox drove with lethal precision, eyes fixed on the road, jaw tight with a tension that made her stomach twist. "What did you mean?" Lauren asked, voice trembling. "Someone you loved, Brandon, forged their name?" Cole didn't answer immediately. His grip on the wheel tightened as they turned onto Park Avenue. 3 years ago, Brandon orchestrated a deal that nearly bankrupted my company. He forged signatures, fabricated approvals, then blamed a junior executive. She was brilliant, loyal, and young enough to think justice always prevails. Lauren swallowed. "What happened to her?" "She lost everything," Cole said quietly. "Career, reputation, mental health." Brandon walked away untouched. "And you couldn't expose him?" Melissa asked from the passenger seat. "He covered his tracks too well," Cole replied, "and I didn't have the proof." "But now," Lauren whispered, holding the flash drive in her trembling hand, "we do." For the first time, Cole looked at her through the rearview mirror. "Yes, but Brandon knows it exists now. That changes everything." Lauren's stomach dropped. "How?" Cole's phone buzzed. He put it on speaker. A male voice came through, panicked. "Cole, it's Walker. Someone broke into the server room at Halston Capital. They wiped entire archives." Lauren's heart stopped. Walker continued. "They were specifically looking for the internal contract logs. If Lauren Avery hadn't downloaded her file yesterday, everything would have been erased." Melissa gasped. "Oh my God, he's covering his tracks." Cole's expression darkened. "What about security footage?" "Deleted." Whoever did this knew exactly what they were doing. The call ended abruptly. Silence filled the car, heavy and suffocating. Lauren's hands shook uncontrollably. "He's destroying evidence, and he's coming after me." Cole exhaled. "He's panicking. That makes him unpredictable." They turned into an underground parking garage beneath a steel and glass office tower. Cole pulled into a private space and shut off the engine. "You'll be safe here," he said. "This building belongs to Maddox Dynamics. No one gets in without my clearance." But before Lauren could respond, Cole's security chief sprinted toward the car, breathless. "Sir, you need to see this." He handed Cole a tablet. A paused security camera still showed a man entering Melissa's apartment building. Lauren froze. It was Brandon. But there was something worse, something that made her blood run cold. He wasn't alone. 2 men in black followed him, carrying equipment. Cole stared at the screen, jaw tightening. "He's not looking for you," Cole said quietly. Lauren's voice trembled. "Then who?" Cole looked at her, eyes sharp with fear. "He's looking for the flash drive because he just figured out what you really stole from him." Lauren followed Cole through a private hallway inside Maddox Dynamics, her suitcase rolling behind her, her body still trembling from everything she had learned. The sleek glass walls and soft LED lighting felt too polished, too calm compared to the chaos devouring her life outside. Cole opened the door to a small secured conference room. "You'll stay here until I figure out our next move," he said. His voice was firm, but there was something gentler underneath, something that felt like concern. Melissa sat beside Lauren, squeezing her hand. "We're in this together." Lauren wanted to believe that, but fear clung to her like a second skin. She set the flash drive on the table. It looked small, too small to hold the kind of truth that could burn her entire world down. Cole leaned over it. "Before we do anything, we need to see exactly what data Brandon forged under your name." Lauren nodded, swallowing hard. "I'm ready." Cole connected the flash drive to his encrypted laptop. Lines of documents populated the screen: contracts, approvals, wire transfers, every one of them stamped with her signature. But then Cole clicked a folder Lauren hadn't noticed before. A hidden directory. Inside were dozens of files, all linked to an offshore project named HAL 47. Lauren felt sick. "I've never seen any of this." "That's the point," Cole murmured. "These are major financial crimes, and with your name attached, he could frame you as the mastermind." Melissa whispered, "He was setting her up from the beginning." Cole nodded. Brandon needed a fall person. Lauren's throat tightened. "He's going to pin all this on me." "He can't," Cole replied, "because now we have something he didn't expect, evidence he didn't erase." Lauren stared at the files, terror mixing with something new, something she hadn't felt in weeks. Anger. Slow, rising, dangerous anger. "He took my baby," she whispered. "He destroyed my life, and now he wants to destroy what's left." Cole met her eyes. "Then we fight back, quietly, strategically, and we hit him where he never expects it." "And right, 2-3. "How?" Melissa asked. "Through the one battlefield he can't control the boardroom." Cole clicked on another window. "Halston Capital's quarterly meeting is next week. If we take this evidence to the board before Brandon manipulates it, we can get him removed." Lauren stared at him. "Removed? As CEO?" "Removed from everything," Cole said. "And once he's exposed, the authorities can take it from there." Lauren exhaled shakily as a spark of hope flickered inside her. "But," Cole added, closing the laptop slowly, "there's something I need to tell you before we move forward." Lauren leaned in. "Something about HAL 47. Cole hesitated, troubled, almost haunted. "Your name isn't the only one he forged. There's someone else involved. Someone whose return will change everything." Lauren woke the next morning on a small sofa inside Cole's protected executive suite. For the first time in days, the air didn't feel hostile. Cole had arranged secure housing for her inside the Maddox Dynamics Tower far beyond Brandon's reach. But peace never lasted long in her world anymore. Melissa burst into the room, phone in hand, face pale. "Lauren, you need to see this." Lauren's stomach tightened. "What happened?" Melissa handed her the phone. "It's everywhere." "His nada, endem." A gossip site headline glared back. Ex-CEO's wife caught having affair with rival billionaire Cole Maddox. Leaked photos suggest secret relationship. Lauren's breath vanished. Below the headline were grainy images clearly edited, showing her entering Cole's building, sitting in his car, even a fake shot of them supposedly kissing in an elevator. Lauren shook her head, horrified. "None of this is real. They photoshopped everything." "Brandon did this," Melissa said. "He's trying to destroy your credibility before you expose him." Lauren felt the panic rising. "If the board sees this, they'll think I'm trying to sabotage him because of an affair." Melissa nodded grimly. "And if the police see it, it looks like motive." Her world, already cracked, threatened to collapse again. Cole entered the room then, holding a tablet. His expression was thunderous. "I've seen the leak," he said. "My legal team is already pushing takedown notices." "In those Brazich." Lauren's voice broke. "Everyone will think." "I don't care what they think." Cole's tone sharpened with conviction. "This is a play to discredit you. And me." Melissa crossed her arms. "He's desperate." Cole nodded. "He's accelerating his timeline. The fact that he launched the smear campaign means he thinks you're close to exposing HAL 47. Lauren rubbed her temples. "You said someone else's name was forged. Who? What does that project even connect to?" Cole hesitated, as if weighing whether the truth was too heavy to put on her already bleeding shoulders. Before he could answer, his phone buzzed again. A notification lit the screen with a new headline. "Mysterious whistleblower contacts, media claiming major fraud at Halston Capital." Melissa gasped. "Someone else is leaking information?" Cole read deeper, eyes narrowing. "It's anonymous, but the details, they're specific, very specific. They're describing forged signatures, offshore accounts, everything Brandon tried to pin on you." Lauren whispered. "Someone is helping us?" "Or," Cole said slowly, "someone is using you." He turned the tablet toward Lauren. The article referenced confidential internal memos Lauren had never seen, never touched, yet all of them carried her digital signature. Lauren felt the blood drain from her face. "He's framing me again." Cole's expression hardened. "No, this is worse. Someone is pretending to be your ally to expose Brandon. while making it look like you're the mastermind. Lauren staggered back. If the authorities believe this, Melissa said, you'll be the prime suspect. Cole looked at Lauren, voice low and grim. Whoever the whistleblower is, they want Brandon destroyed, but they want you destroyed with him. By noon, the fabricated scandal had spread across every major business forum in Manhattan. Investors whispered. Junior analysts exchanged screenshots. CEOs texted each other with thinly veiled amusement. To them, it was entertainment. A fallen wife, a rising billionaire, a scandal perfectly tailored for gossip. But to Lauren Avery, it was a noose tightening. Brandon is painting me as unstable and vindictive, Lauren whispered, pacing the secure conference room. He wants the world to think I'm lashing out because of the divorce. Melissa sighed. He's shaping the narrative before you can expose him. 2007. One paper haven, just 2000. Cole entered, buttoning his suit jacket, radiating the calm intensity of a man who had made a decision he couldn't step back from. I'm going public, he announced. Lauren froze. What? No, Cole, if you acknowledge this rumor, you're validating it. He'll use it against you. He already is, Cole said, but he crossed a line. Brandon dragged my company into this, and I won't let him bury you to protect himself. He turned his laptop toward them. On the screen was a drafted statement addressed to all major news outlets. Cole Maddox denies rumors of affair, calls for full investigation into forged documents at Halston Capital. Lauren's eyes widened. You're going to expose him publicly? Now? Yes, Cole said. Because silence is letting him write the story. He angled closer, voice lower and more personal. And because I won't stand by while he destroys you. For a moment, Lauren's breath caught. No one had ever chosen her side over risk before. Not her foster families, not Brandon, not anyone. Cole, she whispered, if you do this, Brandon will come after you harder. Cole's expression didn't waver. He already lost the chance to scare me. Melissa nodded approvingly. Finally, a man with a spine. Cole stepped back. But there's more. I'm not just issuing a statement. I'm taking you with me. Lauren blinked. Taking me where? To the press conference. Lauren's heart dropped. No, Cole, I can't go on camera. Brandon already made me look unstable. If I stand next to you. You don't defend yourself by hiding, Cole interrupted gently. You defend yourself by standing in the light. Melissa patted Lauren's shoulder. He's right. Cole held out his hand. You don't have to speak. Just let them see you're not the woman Brandon is trying to portray. Her hands trembled. Every instinct screamed to stay invisible. But another part of her, small but growing, wanted to stop letting Brandon decide the shape of her life. She took Cole's hand. As they headed for the elevator, Cole's security chief sprinted toward them, breathless. Sir, urgent call from the legal team. You need to hear this. Cole answered immediately. A voice crackled through the speaker. Cole, the whistleblower just contacted Brandon's people directly. They're framing Lauren. She has an arrest warrant pending. Lauren's knees buckled. Cole caught her arm, and the voice on the phone added, You have 30 minutes before the police arrive. Lauren felt the blood drain from her face as Cole ended the call. An arrest warrant. For her. It was happening. Brandon was tightening the trap he'd been building for months. Cole steadied her by the shoulders. Lauren, look at me. We're not going to let them take you. Melissa stood between them, fierce as ever. We need a plan. Now. Cole turned to his security chief. Evans, secure the exits. No police, no reporters, no one enters this floor without my clearance. Evans nodded and sprinted off. Lauren pressed a shaking hand to her forehead. How did this escalate so fast? Cole exhaled sharply. Because the whistleblower is feeding information to both media outlets and Brandon. They're painting you as the mastermind of HAL 47. Someone wants you burned from every angle. But why? Melissa asked. Who would hate Lauren enough to do that? Cole hesitated. Maybe it isn't about hate. Maybe it's about leverage. With Brandon drowning in scandal, someone else could be vying for control of Halston Capital. Lauren swallowed. A corporate coup. Exactly, Cole said. And you are their perfect scapegoat. Before she could respond, Cole's tablet buzzed. A new notification flashed. Breaking. Former CEO's wife linked to $1 million offshore fraud. Sources claim she acted alone. Lauren stumbled backward. Acted alone? They're isolating me. Cole clenched his jaw. Not if I take control of the narrative first. What are you talking about? Melissa asked. Cole tapped a file on his screen. If I publicly disclose the evidence of Brandon's forged signatures, it forces the board and the authorities to redirect scrutiny onto him. It buys us time. But won't that pull you deeper into this mess? Lauren whispered. Cole's eyes met hers steady, unwavering. I don't care about the hit to my reputation. I care about stopping them from destroying you. Her throat tightened. Cole, why are you doing all this for me? He didn't answer right away. Instead, he stepped closer, lowering his voice. Because 3 years ago, I failed to save someone else from Brandon. I won't fail again. Effusively. Before Lauren could react, Evans rushed back into the room. Sir, he said urgently, you need to turn on Channel 7, right now. Cole grabbed the remote. The screen flickered on. A news anchor appeared, solemn expression framed by the Manhattan skyline. We've received confirmation, she said. New evidence suggests that Cole Maddox and Lauren Avery have been collaborating for months. Anonymous sources claim their partnership predates her divorce, implying motive for corporate sabotage. Thanks for watching. Lauren gasped. Predates? That's impossible. Melissa threw her hands up. They're rewriting history now. But it got worse. The anchor continued. Authorities are now investigating whether Maddox Dynamics financially supported Lauren Avery during the alleged fraud. Cole's entire body stilled. They're coming after me too, he murmured. Then the anchor delivered the final blow. Police units have been dispatched to Maddox Dynamics headquarters for questioning. Evans' radio crackled to life. Multiple officers approaching the east and west entrances. Lauren felt her knees weaken. Cole turned to her, eyes blazing with one clear message. Run. Lauren, he said tightly, they aren't here to question you. They're here to arrest you first. The alarms inside Maddox Dynamics weren't loud, but the tension in the air was deafening. Lauren's pulse hammered as the security feed showed police approaching the building, 2 units, maybe 3, fanning out across the street like predators scenting blood. Cole grabbed her wrist gently but urgently. We need to move. Now. Melissa followed close behind. Where are we even going? They've surrounded the entrances. Not all of them, Cole said, already leading them into a restricted hallway. There's a freight elevator that connects to a loading dock. It's unmarked. B4-. As they hurried through the corridor, Lauren's heart thudded in her ears. She knew if she were arrested now, Brandon would win. He'd planned this too perfectly. But something else gnawed at her. HAL 47, the forged signatures, the whistleblower. Every question twisted together into a knot tightening inside her chest. They reached the elevator. Cole scanned his badge, and the doors opened with a soft chime. But before stepping in, Lauren stopped. Wait, she whispered. Cole, that hidden folder on the flash drive. You said HAL 47 wasn't just about me. Cole hesitated. I need to know, Lauren insisted. My life is being dismantled. I deserve the truth. Cole exchanged a look with Melissa, one that said keeping secrets had just become impossible. Finally, he nodded. HAL 47 was a shell project Brandon created using stolen identities. He forged your name, yes, but he also forged another one, someone who disappeared years ago. Someone the board thinks is dead. It's Umbrid. Lauren's stomach twisted. Who? Before Cole could answer, Melissa gasped, pointing at a side door. A faint blinking light glowed beneath it, the server vault. Lauren stepped toward it instinctively. Wait, if Brandon erased the archives, maybe he missed something. Cole frowned. Lauren, we don't have time. But something pulled her closer. A feeling, a certainty, a voice inside whispering, look. She pushed open the door. Rows of humming servers lined the walls, lights blinking like trapped fireflies. A maintenance terminal stood in the corner, still logged in. Lauren's breath caught. On the screen was a folder Brandon had forgotten to wipe. HAL 47 ledger backup. Her hands trembled as she clicked it open. Page after page of transactions appeared. Offshore accounts, illegal transfers, payments to unnamed contractors, and at the bottom, 2 signatures. Her own, and another name she recognized instantly. Melissa gasped. No way, that's... Lauren's voice cracked. But she's dead. She died 3 years ago. Cole's face drained of color. She didn't die, Lauren, he said quietly. She vanished after Brandon ruined her. Lauren stared at the ledger, horror rising like ice water in her veins. Because the second forged name belonged to Cole's former fiancée. And then the server door slammed shut behind them. Someone else was inside the building. Lauren had never imagined walking into a room where every chandelier shimmered like frozen lightning, while her entire life balanced on a single flash drive hidden in her clutch. But that was exactly what the annual Halston Capital Winter Gala felt like. Guests in couture gowns and tailored tuxedos filled the ballroom of the Ritz-Carlton, violinists playing over the low hum of Manhattan's wealthiest elite. Journalists hovered near the stage, their cameras ready to devour any scandal. And tonight, scandal had a name: Lauren Avery. Cole Maddox escorted her through the entrance with a protective steadiness that kept her breathing. The moment they appeared beneath the golden archway, whispers sliced through the air like razor wire. That's her. The one accused of the offshore fraud. Why is she with Maddox? Isn't she supposed to be in custody? Lauren kept her gaze forward. She had learned, painfully, that fear loses power when you refuse to look it in the eye. Melissa, walking slightly behind them, leaned in. Don't break, don't blink. Brandon feeds on weakness. But Lauren didn't feel weak. Not tonight. Not anymore. She spotted the board members near the front. Their tight smiles said everything the rumor storm had reached them. Some looked curious, some looked terrified, and some guilty. Then the room shifted. Brandon Hale entered the ballroom. His tuxedo was immaculate, his posture dripping with arrogance. And on his arm, wearing a champagne-colored gown designed to steal attention, was Peyton Clark. People parted for them as if they were royalty until they reached the open center of the room, where Brandon finally looked up and saw Lauren. His smile froze. Because she wasn't broken. She wasn't begging. She wasn't hiding. She was standing beside his greatest rival, taller, stronger, and glowing with the power of truth she hadn't yet unleashed. Peyton clutched Brandon's arm. Why is she here? Brandon didn't answer. His jaw tightened, eyes flashing with something darker than anger. Fear. Cole felt it too. He didn't expect you to show up, he murmured. This changes the entire game. The orchestra quieted as the CEO introduction began. Brandon was scheduled to speak first. He moved toward the stage, but not before leaning close enough to Lauren to hiss. You should have stayed hidden. Now you're going to fall publicly. Lauren didn't flinch. Not before you do, and do that. Brandon's nostrils flared. You don't have the courage. She smiled softly. I don't need courage, Brandon. I have evidence. He froze mid-step. But before he could respond, a commotion erupted near the ballroom doors. People turned. Security rushed forward. A woman drenched from the storm outside stumbled into the light. A woman Lauren recognized instantly. The missing woman, Cole's fiancée. Alive. And trembling, she lifted a shaking hand and pointed straight at Brandon Hale. He tried to kill me. Gasps tore through the ballroom as the drenched woman stumbled forward, her hair matted by rain, mascara running down her cheeks. Her eyes wild, terrified, desperate, locked onto Brandon like a predator that had finally found its target after years in the dark. Cole was the first to move. Aria? His voice cracked in disbelief. Lauren stiffened. Aria Whitlock, Cole's fiancée who had supposedly died in an overseas accident. The same name forged beside hers in the HAL 47 ledger. Aria took a shaky step toward Cole. He did it, she whispered hoarsely. Brandon, he staged everything. He forged my name, and when I tried to expose him, he tried to kill me. Brandon's face drained of color. Peyton clutched his arm. Brandon, what is she talking about? The board members looked at one another, panic changing their expressions. Journalists surged forward, cameras flashing. No, Brandon barked suddenly, his voice cracking. This is insane. She's unstable. She disappeared years ago. Because I was hiding from you, Aria screamed, her voice echoing through the golden ballroom. You sabotaged my career. You threatened my family. You used my digital signature for fraudulent transfers. And when I confronted you, she lifted her left sleeve. A collective gasp swept the room. A long, faint scar ran across her forearm, clean, deliberate, surgical. You tried to make my death look like a suicide, Aria said. You hired men to abduct me, but they double-crossed you and let me go when they realized who I was engaged to. Cole looked gutted. Aria, why didn't you come home? I thought staying dead was the only way to survive, she whispered, until I saw what he was doing to Lauren. I couldn't let him destroy another woman. Brandon stepped backward, panic now carving itself into his expression. This is slander. She's lying. Lauren stepped forward, voice steady. Then explain HAL 47, Brandon. Explain why both our names were used in the transfers. Explain why Arya's death certificate was filed by a shell corporation you control. A murmur erupted. Board members began whispering frantically. Cole's voice hardened. Explain why the ledger shows payouts to offshore accounts matching your personal schedule. Explain why the only people who ever approved these transactions were women you groomed, used, and discarded. Peyton stumbled away from Brandon, horrified. You told me they were unstable. You said they sabotaged you. They did, Brandon snapped, sweat glistening on his temples. He stopped, because he realized everyone had fallen silent. Everyone was staring. Everyone finally saw him. A predator, cornered by the truth. Security approached hesitantly, unsure of whose orders to follow. But before they could take a step, one of the board members raised a trembling hand. Mr. Hale, she said coldly, please surrender your access card. You are hereby suspended pending full investigation. Brandon's lips curled into a snarl. No, he hissed. No one is taking my company. Not her, not him, not anyone. Then he lunged straight for Lauren. And in the split second before impact, a gunshot cracked across the ballroom. The gunshot echoed through the ballroom like a lightning strike, tearing the night sky open. Guests screamed, ducking behind tables. Security rushed forward. The orchestra, frozen mid-note, fell into dead silence. Lauren's heart stopped as she staggered backward, bracing for pain. But she wasn't the one hit. Cole stood in front of her, his arm raised. The bullet lodged in the marble pillar behind him. He had pulled her out of the way in the last split second. Are you hurt? He asked, breathless. Lauren shook her head, stunned. You saved me. Again. Brandon, wild-eyed and desperate, held the smoking gun with trembling hands. It wasn't supposed to be like this, he shouted. She was supposed to disappear quietly, not ruin my life. Security began to close in, but Brandon spun, pointing the gun at Cole now. You, he snarled, you stole everything from me. Deals, clients, now my board. You've been poisoning them against me for years. Cole stepped protectively in front of Lauren. Put the gun down, Brandon. Shut up, Brandon roared. You took Arya from me too. Cole stiffened. You framed her, he said coldly. You destroyed her. No, Brandon yelled. She chose you. She always chose you. They all did. Lauren did. Peyton will. Everyone picks you. The perfect billionaire. The hero. While I get scraps. Lauren felt sick. Brandon wasn't just corrupt, he was spiraling, unraveling into madness right before the city's elite. Arya stepped forward, voice trembling. Brandon, stop, please. This isn't you. Yes, it is, Brandon screamed. This is who I've always been. And you, he pointed the gun at Arya. You should have stayed dead. The room erupted into chaos again. Brandon, enough, Cole barked. You're only making things worse. Brandon laughed a sharp, unhinged sound. Worse? This is nothing. If I'm going down, I'm taking all of you with me. Then he reached into his jacket with his free hand and tossed something onto the polished floor. A flash drive. Lauren's stomach twisted. It wasn't hers. Brandon smirked. That contains every coincidence linking Lauren and Cole for the past 6 months. Financial trails, emails, leaked documents. Enough to convict both of them. What are you talking about? Lauren cried. Those are fake. Doesn't matter, Brandon whispered. They'll believe it. Especially since the whistleblower sent the same data to federal investigators tonight. Cole's jaw tightened. You forged evidence against me? Brandon grinned. Oh, Cole, I didn't forge all of it. You should be more careful about the people you trust. Cole froze. What does that mean? Brandon's eyes gleamed with triumph. It means the whistleblower isn't working against you. He glanced at the ballroom entrance. She's working with me. End quote. The ballroom fell into a suffocating silence. Brandon's words hung in the air like poison, spreading fast, sinking deep. Lauren felt her chest tighten as she scanned the crowd, searching for the traitor he claimed was helping him. Melissa whispered, He's bluffing. He has to be. But the fear in Cole's eyes said otherwise. Brandon took a step back. gun still trembling in his hand. "Come on out," he taunted. "You wanted a stage. Here it is." The ballroom doors creaked. High heels clicked across the marble. Peyton Clark stepped forward, her champagne gown shimmering under the chandelier, mascara streaked from tears. But her expression wasn't frightened. It was furious. Lauren staggered. "Peyton, you're the whistleblower?" Peyton didn't look at Lauren. She looked straight at Brandon with hatred sharp enough to cut glass. "You promised me everything," Peyton snarled. "You said once Lauren was gone and you were cleared, we'd run Halston together. You said Cole would crumble. You said we'd be untouchable." Brandon stiffened. "Peyton, stop. Not here." "Oh, I'll stop when you stop ruining every woman stupid enough to trust you." Peyton laughed bitterly. "I figured out what you did to Arya. And then Lauren. And then me. I was never your partner. I was your next fall girl." Lauren felt the room spin. Peyton wasn't on Brandon's team. She was turning against him. Peyton stepped closer, fire blazing in her eyes. "I leaked evidence to the media, but Brandon twisted it, turned it against Lauren, used it to frame Cole. He stole access to my laptop, my accounts, everything." Brandon snapped. "You were supposed to be smarter than this. And you were supposed to be a man, not a parasite," Peyton shot back. The board members exchanged horrified looks. Whispers erupted across the room. Cole stepped forward. "Then who sent the arrest warrant data?" Peyton shook her head. "Not me. That wasn't me at all. Someone else is feeding him intel." Lauren blinked. "Someone else?" Peyton pointed at Brandon, then at the balcony above the ballroom. "He has a second accomplice. Someone inside Halston, someone senior." The entire room turned toward the balcony, just as another figure emerged from the shadows. A woman in a sleek black dress. One, Lauren recognized instantly. Victoria Langford, senior vice president. Brandon's longtime mentor. And the woman who had always smiled too widely at Lauren, while never meeting her eyes. Victoria descended the stairs slowly, clapping once. "Well done, Brandon," she said with a chilling smile, "but you've lost control of the narrative." Brandon's face twisted in disbelief. "Victoria, you were supposed to leak the final report." "I did," she said coldly, "but not for you." Lauren stared, breathless. "Then who?" Victoria's gaze locked on her. "I leaked it for her." She pointed straight at Lauren. "Because you're not the woman Brandon thinks you are, and it's time he found out." The ballroom felt suspended in time. Every guest, journalist, board member, and security guard stood frozen as Victoria Langford's words echoed through the air. "I leaked it for her," she repeated, chin lifted, eyes sharp. "Because Lauren Avery was never Brandon's victim. She was his key." Lauren stiffened. "His key?" Victoria nodded slowly. "Your name wasn't forged randomly. Brandon chose you years before you even met him." Cole turned sharply. "What are you talking about?" Victoria stepped forward, heels clicking with deliberate calm. Brandon targeted Lauren the moment she joined Halston Capital. Her background, her lack of family ties, her financial vulnerability, she was perfect for a long-term fraud operation. Invisible enough to manipulate. Smart enough to sign anything he put in front of her without suspecting his motives. "Thanks for watching." Lauren felt something collapse inside her. "So, my marriage was never real." Victoria's expression softened for the first time. "He didn't marry you for love, Lauren. He married you to use you. The pregnancy, your grief, all of it was collateral damage." Cole clenched his fists, fury burning through him. "Why tell us now?" Victoria exhaled. "Because I couldn't watch him destroy another woman, and because Arya's survival changed everything." Arya, still trembling, stepped closer. "Victoria helped hide me after Brandon tried to kill me. She risked everything." Lauren felt dizzy, the truth spiraling around her like a storm. Victoria looked at Cole next. "You should tell her." Cole's eyes widened. "Victoria, no. She deserves the truth before the end," Victoria insisted. Lauren turned to Cole. "What truth?" Cole looked pained, torn open. For the first time since meeting him, he didn't look like a billionaire CEO. He looked like a man carrying years of guilt. "I didn't just rescue you at the plaza," he said quietly. "I followed you, not because I knew you, but because I recognized the pattern." Lauren's breath caught. "Pattern?" "Women who suddenly collapse under Brandon's shadow," Cole murmured. Women whose lives change right before Brandon launches a major fraud. Arya closed her eyes. Cole continued, voice thick. When I saw you fall, bleeding, I knew he had chosen another target, and I couldn't stop it. So, Lauren whispered. You never told me. I thought keeping my distance would keep you safe. His voice cracked. But I was wrong. And when you reappeared at Halston, broken, terrified, I knew I had failed you just like I failed Arya. Lauren's eyes filled with tears. Cole, you didn't fail me. But Cole shook his head. There's more. Something you need to hear before the authorities arrive. He stepped closer, lowering his voice to a confession. Lauren, I didn't just protect you because I felt responsible. He swallowed hard. I protected you because somewhere along the way, a crash thundered from the far end of the ballroom. Doors burst open. Federal agents swarmed inside. And Brandon Hale pointed straight at Lauren. That's her. Arrest her now. Chaos exploded the moment Brandon shouted, Arrest her now. Federal agents surged toward Lauren, badges raised, their shouts drowning into the orchestra's abrupt silence. Cameras flashed wildly as reporters pushed forward, voices tangled in panic. But Cole moved faster. He stepped in front of Lauren, arms outstretched. No one touches her. One of the agents barked, Mr. Maddox, step aside. We have probable cause. No, you don't, Victoria Langford cut in sharply. Because your warrant is based on fabricated evidence supplied by Brandon Hale and his accomplice me. The agents froze. Everyone else stared. Victoria continued, and I am officially withdrawing every statement I made under coercion. Brandon forged documents and manipulated internal reports. I'm ready to testify. Lauren's eyes widened. Victoria, once Brandon's greatest ally, was dismantling him piece by piece. Arya added, I'll testify too. He staged my death. The ballroom erupted in gasps. Agents exchanged looks. Federal protocol changed instantly. Suddenly, Lauren wasn't the target Brandon was. Detain Brandon Hale for questioning, the lead agent ordered. Brandon lunged backward, wild, cornered. No, they're lying. Agents closed in. Peyton stepped aside, expression cold. I'm done protecting you. The room swallowed Brandon's rage as agents forced him to the ground. Lauren exhaled shakily. Her body trembled as if years of fear were trembling out of her, leaving her hollow but free. Cole turned to her, searching her face. Are you all right? She nodded, tears filling her eyes. I am now. They were escorted out a side entrance, the noise fading behind them as they stepped into the crisp Manhattan night. The wind was cold, but the city lights glowed warm, gold, steady, alive. On the rooftop terrace of the Ritz, overlooking the skyline, Cole led her to the railing. I never finished what I was going to tell you. Lauren laughed softly, breath still shaky. Cole, now? After all that? Yes. He stepped closer. Because life doesn't pause until the danger ends, and because you deserve a moment that belongs only to you. Her heart fluttered. You said you didn't just protect me out of guilt, she whispered. What did you mean? Cole took her hands. His voice was low, earnest. Lauren, somewhere between watching you fight for your life and watching you reclaim it, I fell in love with you. Lauren felt the world tilt, but not from fear, from something warmer, steadier. Cole continued, and if the timing is wrong, if it's too soon, if you need space, I'll wait. But I want you to know, I see your strength, your fire, your courage. I don't love you because you survived. I love you because of who you are. Tears slipped down her cheeks. And Lauren, he said gently, I want a future with you, if you'll have one with me. He reached into his pocket. A small velvet box emerged under the city lights. Her breath caught, but before she could answer, the terrace door slammed open. An agent rushed out, breathless. Lauren, there's been a development. Brandon escaped custody. Lauren's breath caught as the agent delivered the news. Brandon escaped custody. Cole moved instantly, stepping in front of her. How? The agent shook his head. He slipped out during transport. We believe he had outside help. Melissa, who had joined them on the terrace moments earlier, whispered, Of course he did. A man like Brandon always has someone left to manipulate. Lauren wasn't afraid anymore, not the way she used to be. She was exhausted, furious, and ready to end this. What does he want now? Cole answered quietly, control. And he's losing every ounce of it. They re-entered the Ritz-Carlton ballroom where agents, board members, and guests swirled in confusion. But one person wasn't confused at all. Victoria Langford stood beside Arya, speaking urgently to federal investigators. When she saw Lauren, her expression softened. "You won," Victoria said. "He's cornered. He's dangerous. But he's out of moves." Arya nodded shakily. Brandon built his whole empire on lies. Now every lie is unraveling. A loud crash boomed from the far side of the ballroom. Everyone spun. Brandon Hale stood there disheveled, wild-eyed, tie torn, hair soaked from rain. 2 unconscious security guards lay behind him. Guests screamed. Agents drew weapons. "Everyone stop," Brandon roared, holding a broken champagne bottle like a blade. "Nobody moves unless you want the board of this company swimming in their own blood." Chaos froze. Brandon's gaze swept the room until it landed on Lauren. "You," he growled. "Everything was fine until you. You ruined my plans, my company, my future." Lauren stepped forward before anyone could stop her. "No, Brandon, you ruined your own future. You used people. You lied. You forged signatures. You destroyed lives. Two." End quote. Brandon shook with rage. "I made you. You were nothing before me." Lauren lifted her chin. "And I'm more than you ever deserved." Brandon lunged toward her. Cole shoved in front, but Brandon swung the bottle wildly, cutting Cole's arm. Lauren cried out, but Cole barely reacted. His eyes were locked on Brandon with a calm, lethal resolve. Federal agents closed in. "You can't outrun this," Cole said. "Your own board voted you out. Every document you forged has been recovered. Every person you hurt is alive to testify." Brandon laughed, a broken, manic sound. "Then I'll take you down with me." He grabbed a metal candelabra, ready to strike. But before he could swing, Peyton stepped behind him and whispered, "I should have done this months ago." She shoved him hard. Brandon stumbled backward, arms flailing, straight through the balcony railing. Gasps ripped through the room as he plunged. Agents rushed to the edge. Lauren clutched Cole's arm, shaking. One agent shouted, "He's alive. We need medics." But then he stopped. Tension rippled through the ballroom. "He's alive," the agent repeated, "but he's asking for Lauren." Lauren hesitated before stepping into the dim emergency room, where Brandon Hale lay bound to a gurney, oxygen mask pressed against his face. Monitors beeped steadily beside him. He was bruised, pale, no longer the powerful man who once controlled every corner of her life. For the first time, he looked small. The agent nodded. "He asked for you. Only you." Lauren approached slowly, Cole just outside the doorway, a silent pillar of strength. Brandon's eyes fluttered open. He looked at her not with anger, not with arrogance, but with something hollow. "You won," he rasped. Lauren shook her head. "There was nothing to win. You destroyed yourself." A bitter laugh rattled in his chest. "You were supposed to be the easy one, the disposable one." Lauren's voice remained calm. "And yet here we are. You alone, and me, free." Brandon swallowed hard. "I didn't mean for the baby." Lauren stepped closer, voice steel. "Stop. You don't get forgiveness. Not from me." His eyes glistened not with remorse, but with the realization that nothing he said would save him now. "The board, the feds, everyone turned on me," he whispered. "I never thought it would end like this." Lauren exhaled softly. "Actions have consequences, Brandon. You taught me that. Just not the way you intended." And I. Brandon's breathing grew ragged as the agents entered with forms. He watched helplessly as Lauren turned away, her silence the final sentence. Outside, Cole wrapped a coat around her shoulders. "You did the right thing." "I didn't go for him," she said quietly. "I went for myself." Cole nodded, eyes warm with pride. "Then let's go home." Weeks later, winter melted into early spring. Brandon Hale faced 27 federal charges: fraud, identity, forgery, attempted homicide, and conspiracy. The media called it the collapse of a corporate king. Peyton testified. Victoria testified. Arya testified. Lauren's evidence sealed every door Brandon had once escaped through. He would not be leaving prison for a very long time. Lauren, meanwhile, rebuilt her life piece by piece. Therapy, rest, new beginnings, peace. On a quiet evening overlooking the Manhattan skyline from Cole's Park Avenue penthouse, he approached her again, this time without urgency, without chaos humming beneath their feet. "Last time I asked," he said gently, "the world was falling apart." Lauren smiled softly. "And now it's finally coming together." Cole knelt, opening the velvet box she never got to answer for. "Lauren Avery," he said, voice warm, steady, full of a future she finally believed she deserved. "Will you marry me?" Tears filled her eyes, not of grief this time, but of gratitude, healing, and the joy of choosing a life she built, not one she survived. "Yes," she whispered, "I will." The city lights glowed around them like 1,000 witnesses, and for the first time in her life, Lauren stepped into a future that belonged wholly to her. And just like that, our story gently closes its final chapter. But you, yes, you, the wonderful friend, still here with me. If you've stayed until this moment, it means something in Lauren's journey touched your heart in a way words alone can't explain. Maybe her pain mirrored something you've carried. Maybe her rise reminded you of your own strength. Or maybe you simply needed to hear that healing is possible. The Stoics often said, "The obstacle is the way." Marcus Aurelius believed that every hardship carries the blueprint for who we can become. Lauren's resilience teaches us that betrayal doesn't define you, loss doesn't end you, and the darkest moments often birth the strongest versions of ourselves. You are allowed to rebuild. You are allowed to choose peace. You are allowed to step toward a future that finally belongs to you. So if this story held your hand tonight, if it made you feel seen, understood, or a little less alone, do one simple thing for me. Like the video, share it with someone who might need healing too. And subscribe so you don't miss the next journey we walk together. You matter. You're stronger than you think. And your next chapter is waiting.